Well, the shootings have again raised questions over gun violence and ownership in the U.S. Statistics show that gun-related deaths are increasing. Thursday's attack in Oregon brings the number of mass shootings this year alone to 294. That's more than May. Since President Obama was elected for a second term in 2012, nearly 1,000 mass shootings have happened in the U.S. The last 2 years alone, over 1,200 people have been killed. But these figures don't include everyday incidents of gun violence, which have resulted in the death of around 10,000 people this year. Well, I'm joined now by John Lott from the U.S. city of Philadelphia. He's president of Crime Prevention Research Center and the author of More Guns, Less Crime, Understanding Crime and Gun Control Laws. John, good to have you with us. So your book, More Guns, Less Crime, says that U.S. states where gun ownership increases see the largest drops in violent crime. Now, that seems totally counterintuitive. How do you explain that?
Well, just as you can deter criminals with higher arrest rates or higher conviction rates, the fact that would-be victims might be able to defend themselves can also deter criminals from attacking. And, you know, yesterday's case, along with every other one that the president's spoken about, has occurred in places where guns are banned. If students or faculty had a water pistol or a BB gun or a firearm with them yesterday, students would be expelled and faculty would be fired. And the problem is that the people who are intent on killing people don't mind breaking the law. I mean, they're likely to die anyway. They don't worry about the penalties later on. It's the law-abiding good citizens who obey it, and rather than making it safer for the citizens, you make it unintentionally safer for the criminals. And that's the reason why this year and last year you can find many cases where these killers explicitly leave diaries or other things indicating that they had other targets in mind, but they had turned them down because they were worried that people with guns might stop them there, and had instead chosen these gun-free zone type places to go and do their attacks.
Okay, but John, nevertheless, the U.S. is the only country which sees these kinds of mass shootings. How do you explain the fact that in many countries which have far stricter gun controls in place do not see the kind of mass shootings that are currently making the headlines in the U.S.?
Well, I mean, first of all, the worst mass public shooting in the world is in Norway, which has fairly strict gun control laws. There are 9 countries in Europe that have higher rates of mass public shootings than we have here in the United States, both in terms of the rate of number and per capita and also deaths per capita. The thing you have to take into account is we're a country of over 320 million people. A lot of the countries, and individual countries in Europe may have 4 million or 10 million or 30 million or 40 million people. And you have to adjust for population sizes. If you look at Europe as a whole, surely you can see without trying, these types of attacks on a very regular basis, just that people don't put them together and think about them, on a per capita basis as we have in the United States. And that's just here. I mean, you look at a country like Russia, for example.
Can I just ask you, I mean, are you saying that President Obama is wrong when he's urging more gun controls, especially in the wake of, highly emotive gun shootings where children have been the victims, as we've seen in the U.S.?
Right. Let me ask you a question. Can you name me one of the attacks that the president's talked about where his gun control laws would have stopped it if they had been in place? Well, how these expanded background checks would stop it. We don't know about this case, yes, even though Oregon has the type of law that he's been pushing, and it didn't stop it there. But name me one of any of these mass public shootings that the president's given speeches on.
So what are you saying, that everybody should carry a gun and then there wouldn't be these kind of mass killings?
No, I'm not saying. First of all, what I am saying is that the president's laws have nothing to do with the cases that he talks about, okay? Wouldn't have stopped one of them. The second thing that I'm saying is that I don't think everybody has to carry, just the fact that you allow some to carry. The problem is these attacks keep on occurring in places where we ban guns. Ban them. Don't let anybody carry legally as far as civilians go. And, since 1950, with just 2 exceptions, all the other mass public shootings in the United States have taken place where guns are banned. And it's not by accident. I mean, you go Well, just take the diary from James Holmes, the Colorado Batman movie theater shooter that just was released this summer during his trial. His original target was going to be the Denver International Airport, but he was worried that security there would stop him before he could kill many people. There were 7 movie theaters within a 20-minute drive of his apartment that were showing the premiere of the Batman movie. Only one of those banned permanent concealed handguns. It wasn't even near his home.
Okay, John.
The one he went to, though, was the only one that made it so people couldn't defend themselves. And you just see that time after time after time.
Okay, John, interesting to speak with you. We'll have to leave it there because we're running out of time. But thank you very much indeed for joining us. John Lott there, live from Philadelphia.